So today we're going to finish up my series of How to Be Happy All the Time by Paramahansa Yogananda. We all know, we started off and I made a big joke about this, it's impossible to be happy all the time. Do we understand that? Do we realize that if we set that as a goal, we're setting ourselves up for failure? Because in life, there is always going to be contrast. Contrast is a requirement in life. Contrast is great because it tells us, are we on the path? Or contrast tells us, do we want to pursue a new path? Contrast helps us form new desires. And you know, desires are not bad, contrary to what we may have interpreted the Buddha as saying. Desire is not the bad thing. Attachment to a desire is the bad thing. But having a desire, the ability to express, is a good thing. Because if we didn't have this desire to express, why be alive? Think about that. Why be alive? Walk around what, as zombies? We'll all have our individual little cave. We'll sit in our cave and we'll meditate. Is that part of the human experience? I think not. I can remember so clearly going to Vipassana, and they've got the special place, a special meditation center away from the main meditation center, and everyone in it gets a little like triangular cubicle where no windows, no nothing. You lock yourself in this room and you're there and you meditate. And I got in there and I said, ooh, this ain't for me. I left. I'd much rather be in a group of people. I would rather not be that isolated. It was like I was denying my humanity. Now keep in mind that when I would go into the meditation hall and I would go into meditation, I'd close my eyes, everything would disappear. It was like there were no walls. It was just the idea of being that separate, because in my mind, we're not here to be separate, we're here to connect. So as we look at it, the thing I want to talk about today is about inner freedom and joy. And I think this is the very crux of life, is that when we have inner freedom and inner joy, our lives take on meaning. Our lives have purpose. The key to this is not to overreact to life's ups and downs. Anyone here know someone who reacts to the ups and downs rather emphatically? We all know someone. In fact, we could probably all raise our own hand and say, I'm that person, right? The fact of the matter is there's going to be ups and downs, but our reaction is the key to how we experience life. Struggle and effort are norms of human experience. They are blessings. They are not misfortunes. They provide us with a testing ground for our inner development. You see, if we believe that there is a power within us that responds to the nature of our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings, we believe that, and we're going to test that in the world of effects, which is the world we live in, then everything is a testing ground for us. And so when we have these contrasts, it's our opportunity to say, okay, am I going to hold to the vision? Am I going to hold to the vision and prove my power? One of my affirmations is, I'm a conscious and powerful creator, and I live in positive expectation. Because if you can embody the idea that you are an individualization of it, and I didn't say he, and I didn't say she, I'm really saying when we refer to this idea of God, it's an it, because it doesn't have a sex. It has all qualities, masculine and feminine qualities. Everything is a part of it. So you can't label it. To label it is an injustice. To label it brings it into human form, and it's not human. It's so far beyond human that we cannot even begin to even understand it. But we can't experience it. The most important condition for lasting happiness is even-mindedness. It doesn't mean that you remain even-mindedness all the time, but you're able to bring yourself back to a state of even-mindedness. The person with inner peace retains their equanimity through the roughest of storms. This is one of the biggest teachings of meditation. And being equanimous, that's the word that Goenka, the founder of Vipassana, talks about all the time. He says, live equanimously. Equanimous, equanimous, equanimous. See both sides and see everything in balance. And seeing it in balance, you take out the emotional charge. You now have control because you are the observer and you are no longer a victim. You see, when we respond to the ends of our emotions, whether it be the positive or negative, we become victims to what those emotions are causing us to feel. But when we can sit back and experience the extremes and come back into a state of equanimity, we now are the observer. And when we become the observer, we have the power. We become the conscious creator. Whatever comes of itself, let it come. There are things that we thought in our subconscious minds that are going to show up in our lives. And when they come, don't fight them, let it come. I was sharing earlier that for the past couple weeks I've experienced a bit of disease, some type of virus going through my body. I had to accept it came through my body. Now it was mine to affirm health. Accept what is, because once you've accepted what is, it's easy to deal with. But if you haven't accepted what is, how do you deal with it? If you're in an abusive relationship and you're arguing with your friends that you're not in an abusive relationship, you're going to stay in an abusive relationship. If you accept the fact that I am in an abusive relationship, now, knowing where you've accepted yourself, you now have choices that you can make. You can consciously choose to be in that. You can consciously choose to change it. You can consciously choose to end it, or an infinite number of other ways that can handle with it. But you're a choice because you've accepted where you are. The key is to neither either be elated or depressed at anything outside yourself. Your role is to observe the passing spectacle of life with an even mind. This is the observer. This is what meditation brings you to, a state that you can sit back and you can observe. How many people here watch football and just get randied up beyond belief if one team's winning or losing? Anybody here? Lots of people here. I want you to know that I have effectively become the observer because I can watch, I'm going to pick the team that I followed the longest of all the teams I've ever followed, the University of Michigan. And if you are a Wolverine fan, you are a fan who knows how to be let down. They will break your heart over and over and over again. I mean, you'll be there. They're going to beat Ohio State this year. I'm now at a point where I can observe and have no emotional attachment. You see, it's a fictitious state of mind that we create, that we're attached to an outcome of something outside of ourselves that really, in reality, has no effect on us. Do you get that a football team winning a game has no impact on you as an observer? Your life will go on depending on whether or not you become one of these disgruntled Wolverine fans. You drink yourself into a tizzy and you say unpleasant things to your spouse, and now you've got a whole other issue to deal with. That happens all the time. People live for that game. I'm from Michigan. That's why I have this thing about University of Michigan. I've let it go. I could not stand before to ever think of Ohio State winning. Now, no impact at all. Zero impact at all. Did I have a little bit of a grin, just a little grin yesterday when Auburn beat Alabama? Yes, I did. Just a little bit. I like the underdog. But it didn't affect my day, but I did have a little grin. Gene and I were sitting at this little Italian place in Louisville having dinner, and then there was a TV in the corner, and I looked up and I said, oh, Auburn just won. Grin. Back to eating and being with my wife. Anyway, so it's about being of even mind as you observe. The end result of emotional extremes is extreme emotional dissatisfaction. Think about that. Even in the extreme positive, there will be extreme dissatisfaction afterwards because it's impossible to maintain the high. It's impossible to maintain that bliss because we're in a cycle. There's always going to be contrast. We're in a real low. Don't hold on to it because it's going to change. Remember, this too shall pass. Everything does. Perfect happiness lies not in the extremities of the outer experience, but the point of calmness in the middle. The point of calmness in being the observer. Do not let your worldly possessions possess you. This is a real big thing in the United States because we are a consumer-based society. I was watching something the other day on the 80s. And in the 80s, it started out, and I forget what the stimulus was, but it was when the United States really bought into the idea of debt and debt being okay. And at that time, people went out with their credit cards and they started buying beyond their means. And we have continued that process because we have this artificial belief that having stuff will make us happy. It will not. Try to remember 4 years ago a gift that you got that made you happy at Christmas. You won't. If you go back in your life, it may be one gift as a childhood you got may have made you happy. How many times did you not get a gift that you wanted that you can still remember? I can. And I realized that wasn't what the holidays were about. This idea of gifts, it's a consumer-created thing. It's about focusing on the outside. I'm trying to tell you, focus on what's in your heart. The greatest gift you can give someone in this holiday season is to look into their eyes and to say, I accept you just the way you are, and I'm grateful to have you in my life. That gift alone will warm your heart and the heart of everyone you're talking to. Because when you do that, you experience God. And you see, that's your purpose. Your purpose in your human form is to experience this divine thing. And in order to experience the divine, which is infinite, you've got to experience it all. And when you experience it all and you're coming from the observer, being unattached, all of a sudden you're free to be in that experience. I'm free to break up with this person in my life because I know that I've gotten all the gifts I could possibly imagine from them, and now I have a clearer understanding of what I want in my next relationship. I'm leaving this job over here because this job has served me wonderfully. I've outgrown what it is. I now see that I want to take my talents and I want to put my talents into this, which is a greater expression of my gifts. So you're always blessing what you've had, and you're blessing what's coming into your life. You're the observer of what worked and what now is not working, and you're looking at what you're taking in that will work, and at some point will not work. You'll bless it, you'll move it off, you'll bring something new in, because the eternal creative process is continual. It never stops, it never will. We die when we stop creating. We die when we start thinking that there's nothing more for us to become. We are expanding infinite expressions of the one, and our goal is to continually be unfolding and then expanding, and it's to be expanding not from without, but from within. When we come from within, people know. People want to be with you when they see that you are heart-centered. You're fun if you're a big jokester. I was a big jokester. I could go to a party, give me a couple drinks, and I'll light that party up beyond belief. But they liked me conditionally. They didn't know who I was because I didn't give them the chance to know who I was. I hid behind my facade. When you stop hiding behind your facade, what you're doing is, first off, you're saying, I'm good enough. And secondly, you're saying to everyone else, this is who I am. You now have the opportunity to accept me and love me for all that I am, not for who I'm not. See, this is the greatest gift about being authentic. When we're truly authentic, we're saying to the world, I'm enough, and here I am, accept me and love me as I am. This is where our inner freedom comes. Our inner freedom comes because we get to be a choice to do this when we want. And when we choose that inner freedom, we create a sense of joy, a sense of connection, a sense of experiencing the oneness. And when you come from a place of being in that connected state, and you are the observer and you see how everything is serving your growth, oh my God, what a blessing you are to the world. I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.